Hello again, everyone, and welcome to In His Will. And today we have another little snippet from November the 27th in 1913. So I thought it would be interesting to see what Jesus had to say to Luisa on this date in 1913 from volume 11. And Jesus said, "My daughter, as many complete acts of my will as the creature performs, so many parts of me does she take into herself. And the more she takes of my will, the more light she acquires, forming the sun within herself. And since the sun is formed by the light that she takes from my will, the rays of the sun are linked to the rays of my divine sun. So each one is reflected into the other. Each one flashes through the other, and they dart through each other. And as they do this, the sun that my will has formed in the soul becomes larger and larger." And Jesus went on to say, "My will is the highest point which can exist both in heaven and on earth. And when the soul has reached it, she has subdued everything and has done everything. There is nothing left for her to do but to dwell over these heights, enjoy them, and understand this will of mine more and more, which is not yet understood well, either in heaven or on earth. There is much time for you to be spent in it, because you have understood very little, and much remains for you to understand. My will is so great that whoever does it can call himself a god of the earth. And just as my will forms the beatitude of heaven, these gods who do my will form the beatitude of the earth and of those who are near them. There is no good that exists on earth which is not to be attributed to these goods, gods of my will. Whether as direct or as indirect cause, everything is due to them. Just as there is no happiness in heaven which does not come from me, so there is no good on earth which does not come from them." I thought this was a beautiful, beautiful reading. First of all, that Jesus is telling us that when we complete the acts in the divine will, that we take Jesus into ourselves and he becomes part of us. And that because we have done our acts in the divine will, we become part of him. And so this bond is created and linked. It says the rays of the sun are linked to the rays of my divine sun. So each one is reflected in the other. Jesus is reflected in us. And isn't this what we want in the divine will? Is to reflect Jesus, to live Jesus through us. And Jesus says that we need to spend time on this, that we need to study. You know, in the writings it says, the more knowledge we have of the divine will, the more efficacious our acts will be, because we will completely turn over our will to the divine will as we understand it more and more and gain more and more knowledge. So I encourage you to keep up with your readings, and I hope that you enjoyed this little snippet. This is the first Sunday of Advent, and so we're very, very blessed that we're starting to anticipate now the coming of the Lord. And so many times we think of Advent as the coming of baby Jesus, but let's meditate this Advent on the coming of our glorified Jesus, of the Jesus who lives within us, and ask him to come, ask him to live in us by setting aside our own will and living in the divine will. I hope this was a blessing for you. If it was, if you like this channel, if you haven't subscribed, I would ask you to subscribe and like the video. And I hope that you will continue to watch these little snippets. As I said, it's helpful for me to just meditate on these little pieces. Jesus says to masticate, to chew on these snippets. So God bless you all, and we will see you next time.